This is episode 75 of the Wilderness Levels podcast. In this episode, Wacedog and myself chat about all kinds of stuff. We talk about whitetails, killing deer, how to kill predators, and I don't know, there's even a special treat for you at the end. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Kifaru International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Right now, Kifaru has the Black Friday sale running. It's 20% off on current models of bags and frames, and I think it's actually store-wide. So go over there and check it out. There we go. Sorry.
You know what I think's fucking crazy?
What's that?
Like, guys are still wearing, like, that people don't buy Kifaru packs. Like, people are still wearing, like, not Mr. Ranch, but, what the hell's that fucking other one?
Badlands?
Badlands. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, you know what I think is crazy? People are still wearing Echo or Fubu.
Oh, shit. Do people still wear Fubu? Nobody's wearing Fubu anymore.
I don't know, but you and I could bring it back.
I think I could bring Fubu back 100%.
Absolutely. For us, by us.
Do you remember Champion? We used to rock Champion.
Champion's back.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I had some Champions tearaways. You remember tearaways?
Yeah.
Bro, I wore those to school one time. My buddies ripped them off my naked ass. That's how smart. That's how smart I was. Just wear like pants that are tearaways with no underwear to school.
Shredder had your dick out. Oh, that's awesome.
You know, stupid.
Yeah, it's. I think it's. I don't know, man. Like, I think like a Kifaru pack's expensive. Like they're, but it's like that old buy once, cry once thing. It's kind of like optics, you know, like optics in a bag. You can get away with a cheap gun. You can get away with a cheap bow. You can't really get away with cheap boots, cheap pack, or cheap optics if you're, you know, on the mountain, right?
So what the hell was I going to say? There's Badlands packs, Horn Hunter packs.
I've never seen Horn Hunter, I don't think.
Eberly stock. That's the one I was thinking of. Eberly stock. I got a buddy who had a fucking Eberly stock, and it's just piece of shit, man.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, and I wore all that shit too, right? You think that, a pack is a pack until you fucking put a Kifaru on. You're like, goddamn.
I remember when you and I started hanging out, you're like, yeah, Snyder sent me a pack. I haven't set it up or anything. And I was like, what? Why wouldn't you run that? That's like not putting a gas in your car or something. It's like,
yeah, well, you know, stubborn, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, and then I remember when you were setting up your pack, you're like, dude, I was like, I know. It's a game changer, right?
Oh yeah, I know. Comfy under load is nice. Like, you got weight in your bag.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I'm like, I say it all the time. I'm not any kind of freaking keep hammering type of dude, but like, I'll throw, 60, 70, 80 pounds of salt in my pack in the off season, cruise way back there to throw it in front of a camera, and it's not a huge deal in that bag.
What? I can't remember what I was going to say now.
Yeah, it's early.
It is really early. Oh yeah, I've been messed up, man. I got back from my other gig there, and I went straight, and then I only took one or day and a half, get a few things done. Then I went back and started this other job. So I was like, one of those things
was killing a whitetail. Hey.
Yeah, and then so I was gone from the middle of October to the middle of November, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to catch up on some sleep now, but yeah, and I had 2 days in between, and then I shot that whitetail.
Nice. That's like an example of somebody that has their whitetail setup dialed. Hey.
Yeah, a little bit of luck too, right? But I kind of know where to go. Yeah. I guess. There's always a little bit of a luck involved, right? You always need the deer to participate a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. If they're not there, you can't kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an old beaver dam. There's I kind of know like where these does. There's like, if you look at a property, a fairly big property, and there's like little bands of does, right? There'll be 4 or 5 does in a family, and they're all over the place. It took me a long time to figure this. This took me years to figure this out, but like there's these little families of does, and they all have their own little bedding areas. And I kind of know where the majority of them are now. And so I just went and set up in between 2 bedding areas, and I know them bucks just back and forth between there, just checking, right, steady cruising. And I just crawled up, and did some rattling, and I called in a nice, like, freaking stud buck, man, real nice buck. He come in. All he had to do, too, like, I set up on this trail that he was supposed to come by, and he got freaking, 10 yards from me. Sorry. And he just needed to take 2 more steps to clear some brush, and he didn't. He turned, and he started dicking around, and he comes to the base of my tree. Like, he doesn't pick me. He comes to the base of my tree. He kind of smells where I was, because I just hiked it and set up. And he trots out to about 12 yards. So I draw back, and his vitals were covered by this poplar tree pretty much. But like, I could have, like, if I just went just right of the tree, I'd have got him right tight to his shoulder. But I ended up hitting the tree, and the arrow freaking ricocheted into the ground. Oh. So that was the first deer. So I was sitting up there, and I'm like, God damn, I was feeling sorry for myself a little bit.
Licking your wounds.
Yeah. So I'm like, God damn. So whatever. I got back on the horns. I rattled in the smaller deer, the one I videoed. He come charging in, bristled up, looking for a fight. So I messed with him, and I should have just let him go, because he kept going, but I called him back twice. And then the second time I called him back, he come and winded it where I'd walked into, because they can smell your footprints, eh? Yeah. So you have to be real careful. Like, when I walk, so when I set up where I walk, I have to be careful, because if you walk past where you think they're going to come and they smell that, they'll stop and hold up. So I always try not to walk on unnecessary places, but he smelled where I'd walked, and then he didn't really win me, but he knew something was up. So he's blowing at me. So I started blowing back at him, and he kind of moved off. And then
how I've never like snort wheezed back at a deer. How do you do it?
Well, I have one on the top of my call. I had a buck grunt with a snort wheeze built right on top.
Oh, but baby.
Basically what you want to do is, it works for me. I got a gap in my front teeth. It looks like I could eat strawberries through a picket fence with my teeth.
Nice.
But you just got to like blow, and then and I've only learned it from deer that I've heard do it, and they'll do it back. They'll do it back to you. But it kind of, you want me to do it, or should I do it?
Do it.
You just you give a couple bursts. I've heard them go either way. I've heard them give one big burst, but it then tapers out, like they're pinching their nostrils, and it's kind of like, it's like, like that. So you get pinched off at the end. But you can do it with I can do it with my mouth just as good as I can with my call. But
see, I'm at the point of deer hunting. Like a lot of blacktail setup is, I mean, you and I talk offline about this a lot. Like I hunt blacktails a lot, like you hunt whitetails, right? But I'm at the point where if they blow at me, I just freaking freeze. Like there will be no blowing back.
Yeah, well, I mean, I started doing that a few years ago. You know, when an elk barks at you, I'd bark back. Yeah. And then the elk just stands there and looks at you like, huh, maybe it wasn't what I thought it was. And they stop barking. So I do that. When a deer blows at me, I'll just blow back. Like I just give them the old, and they just stand there and they stop blowing.
Now, that's something that's been really interesting to me lately, and we've been talking about it offline too. Is calling the deer, and I mean, calling elk is such a integral part of elk hunting, and I think a lot of dudes deer hunting don't do like any calling beyond rattling.
Do you know what my introduction into calling was for whitetails?
So
was a couple grunts, no more. That's it. You don't want to make too much noise. This is years ago. And over the years, I've learned that is true. That holds true for earlier season and it pre-rut. But when bucks are on the search, there's no such thing. Or even that end of October when they're sparring and they're coming. You don't want to get too aggressive with the horns, but you can call to them a lot. And so end of October, or no, middle of October, before I went back to work the first time. So I kind of being gone for work for 2 weeks at a time, I kind of missed a whole bunch, right? So before I had left, the deer were just starting to become a little more vocal. So one night I was in my stand, and this buck, he's cruising. Like they do that little stompy walk thing where they're on a mission, it looks like. Yeah. So he goes on behind my stand and some thick stuff. So I grunt at him. He just instantly on a dime, he comes back to the base of my tree. But he's still in the thick stuff. I can see him. He's about 10 yards. He's a freaking huge deer. Like the biggest deer I'd seen all year. And he's just working a tree and snort wheezing at me the whole time. And he didn't leave. He didn't leave, man. He just stood there and did this. So yeah, that was pre good calling. So people are scared to call, but I think you just don't be scared to call if you at the right times too, right?
Yeah. I mean, with blacktail, which is kind of what I can speak to it on this topic. Like, I find like even in kind of early October when the blacktail rut starts getting going, or sorry, the end of October when the blacktail rut starts getting going, fine. Even if you rattle and just wait for a while after that, like the last buck I shot, I rattled and he took him 15 minutes, 20 minutes to work his way in. Yeah.
That's all them deer. I like the three I rattled in there that day. They were off about 15 minutes after a sequence. So what I do, I do a bunch of tending grunts. So I spent a long time learning how deer, what they're saying to each other, not just randomly blowing on a grunt tube. And I found good grunt tubes that work, that sound good. Yeah. So I'll do a bunch of tending grunts, and then I do some doe bleats, and then I hit the horns. And then my whole sequence takes a couple minutes, but I'm just setting it up like, hey, there's some breeding happening over here, and then there's some fighting. And then them deer would come, taking about 15 minutes. So, they're hearing you. Right. So that's, to me, like, just to go out there and blow on a grunt call and not know what it means, or like hit the horns. And being in a tree is important too. On the ground is incredibly difficult because them deer are coming in looking, right? If you're decoying, maybe it would work as good, but
yeah, I'm about always on the ground. Just in the country that I hunt. I know you keep telling me, you're like, get a damn stand, Ty. What are you doing?
It's just an advantage, right? And just get above them, and then you can just hunker down all day. It's tough. It's tough too, because I don't know what the wind does in the mountains, right? If it's going to swirl all day and you're going to stay stationary, that's kind of tough, right? But
yeah, for me, like in some of my favorite blacktail spots, there's like, you find some like low pressure spots where it's sort of like, cut into the side of the mountain where you can kind of hunker in there and you could stay all day. But like part of the thing about hunting in these big mountains is you kind of need to be mobile a little bit. I don't know. It's like you can sit a spot, but like like all the guys that kill big blacktails say you can't pattern them, right? So
yeah, that's probably true. Hey, like it's hard to like, I don't like the word pattern. It's tough, man. Like mature whitetails, maybe they're coming out in the same spot, but the minute they shed that velvet, they're switching it up. So I'm talking like, so we, in my area, we open up September 1st. They're shed. If not by September 5th, they're all shed. So I have literally 1 or 2 days if I was going to try and pattern kill a whitetail. And I've only killed one. I've only killed one full velvet whitetail in my life. And, but it's tough. Man. Yeah, it's really tough. Like you can, guys do it. But for me, it's just like,
I was actually just saying to my wife that next year with blacktail, I'd like to put some time in early September, when they're still in summer feeding patterns a little bit. It seems like the deer that I hunt stay in their summer pattern till, basically all of archery season around September 8th, September 9th, they sort of bail out. But like that September time is so valuable, September 1 through 9 in BC is archery season. And it's, mule deer and elk are open too. Right. So it's really hard for me to dedicate that time on blacktail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 9-day archery season is tough.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we have a late season too in a lot of places. Like there's a December, what is it? December 10 to 15 or December 1st to 9th, something like that in some places. Mm-hmm. And then I think there's a pretty long whitetail season in some zones too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What grunt tube are you using? What do I got here? I got a bottleneck.
Coughing.
No, it's all good. Bottleneck Primo's grunt. This thing. Ooh, that didn't sound good.
I use the Drury Brothers grunt tubes.
Ooh.
Best sound I found. I've had Primos and all that shit, and and Primos sounds like Buck's been smoking Marlboros for fucking 20 years.
Drury Brothers. I'm gonna check that out.
It's just a little it's a little raspy, like the Drury Brothers. I spent a lot of time, man. I've bought every fucking grunt call ever made, but the Drury Brothers grunt tubes, like I don't know if they're called the MAD series. I think MAD. They're just clean, man. Like when you grunt, they're super clean, they're super crisp, and it's low airflow. Like you can just do light grunts. And the one I have, it has a snort wheeze on top, and it has a button on the bottom, so it pushes that diaphragm up, so I can go really small buck all the way to mature buck, all the way to doe bleat with just that one button. So I can do everything. I don't only carry one call. I do all the sounds I want to do.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I'd have
I think it's okay. The Mad Grunt Call. Does it look like it has a shot glass on it? No.
Hold on.
you know the standby for everybody is the old can.
So take that can and then blow in the bottom hole.
Yeah, I don't think this one will do it.
Well, some of them will do it, I think.
What does it do?
It just bleeds, so you don't have to tip it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm sure it works. I used to have a
This isn't a Primos one. This is like a hunter specialty. I don't know where my Primos one is. It's around here somewhere, but
like I've even bought into the whitetail. What the hell was it called? Whitetail Specialties. It was like Deer Society. They had a call that it was supposed to be this thing. You could have like a slide on it. You could do different sounds. So the call I use is actually called a Flambeau, like FLAMBEAU RIP growl.
The mad rip growl.
Rip growl. It's got like
got a little skull on it.
Yeah, so that's the snort wheeze chamber. It works pretty good. It sounds. It's pretty cool.
I'm ordering one of these right now.
But that's my favorite call of all time I've ever found. It works the best for whitetail.
Have you So I've been talking to Tyler Friel about blacktail calling lately, and he's a big fan of that Deer Talk like card call. Have you played with that?
No, but I've seen guys use it.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, you're just doing that, right?
Yeah, it's ripping loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it would work. I'm sure it works fine, probably.
I think it'll bring a lot of predators, though, the way it sounds, Matt. No, it seems like it to me. Yeah, no, I've been messing around with that. I called in a deer. I called a group of does in with it the other day, and a real nice buck came in behind him, and no shot. Chatty was with me too. No shot. But
I had a guy message me a couple days ago about he was having a hard time rattling in deer, and so a lot of the problem that the guys fucking make, if you're not like peak rutting a deer, just losing their mind rutting, and you want to go in and rattle, like if you set up. So I found this out. Like if you just set up in a spot that's really advantageous for you, like on a wide open line or in a wide open field or on top of a hill overlooking a wide open area, chances are that deer's not going to come. He's not going to explode. He'll come to the edge. You'll never see him, but he'll be there. And I found this out the hard way, but so that's why I started getting in with them. But I told the guy, I said, just give him something, give him some security, get into a spot. You still have a view or whatever you need, but some security cover for him, and he'll come trotting right in. And I'm like, but peak rut's kind of different too. I've beat the horns, had deer come run across fields, but just depends on the time, right? I like to get in with them, and then there's no hesitation. Like I killed that deer this year at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Heck, I was done skinning before dark.
That's awesome.
And had them loaded up.
Nice.
So
we should record your calling sequence, like just your basic standard. Like I'm in the tree. I'm gonna do some grunts. I'm gonna do some rattling. Now I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, it's a whole thing I do, but like I'll actually just start with a doe bleat. Like I call, I think in the world of whitetail guys, I call quite a bit, but I'll like do a few doe bleats, and then I do tending grunts. So tending grunts, you're just like, like he's breeding. And then I get on the horns, but I don't get on the horns hard, right? Like I just start like it's shoving a little bit, and then I just ramp it up, and I'll do that for a minute or two, and then set them down and just wait. And usually something will come. Just a minute or two of rattling, eh? Yeah, I don't go too crazy. The only reason I do that was because you get caught up in it a little bit. And you lose, and you'll have a deer slip right in. You're just sitting there beating the horns, and they just look up at you. So I know like within a minute, 60 seconds to 120 seconds, you're probably not going to have a deer there. So you can give her, then hang the horns up and then sit still, because they're coming in, they're scanning for any movement at all. Yeah, they're trying to see who's fighting. And if there's some big fat white guy up in a tree beating some white horns together, they're gonna fucking see it. Oh man, one of the listeners of this thing, this dude Stuart, I think he was the guy in the last Q&A that we did that was asking about whitetail calling. Anyways, I think he was rattling the other day there, and he's like, it was great. Rattled, deer came right in, still had the horns in my hands. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes it can happen boom, boom, boom if you're on top of them. Yeah. But I know, like, from experience, you usually got a good at least 60 seconds. So if you get on the horns for about 60 seconds and hang them up and just sit still and quiet. Like that deer I killed, I'd hung the horns up. I'd hung the horns up for probably 2 or 3 minutes, and he didn't come charging in. The big deer, funny man. He come just tiptoeing in and like just sneaking through. Yeah. So, and he was looking. He come in too to the base of my tree, and he come around, and like they're looking for something. This is where like I've never really decoyed, but I've always thought like, you know, decoying would be the way to go. It's just so much extra shit to carry. Hey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he come in looking, he come out to, I don't know, same spot that other one came to, about 10, 12 yards. And I shot and I hit him a little low with my bow, and he trotted out to some thick stuff about 60 yards or so. And so I gave him the 270. So I didn't feel like tracking that day.
The long bow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, when I'm time limited, right? I only had 2 days to hunt, not even like a day and a half. So I had to like get this over with. Yeah,
the bow is not it's not a very efficient efficient tool when you're on limited time, you know.
I wish I could have spent like that week just hunting hard. You know, I didn't have to go back to work, but because it would have been wicked hunting. I honestly would have walked that deer if I had another 4 or 5 days. I probably wouldn't.
You crazy? That was a nice deer.
He's an old deer. Yeah, I actually don't even know where he's from. I've never gotten a picture of him.
He just cruised in, huh?
That's the magic of the rut. You know, he just coming in searching. I'm sure maybe I do have pictures in the past of him, but he's got that big frame. I didn't recognize him from anywhere.
Yeah, he's cool. I mean, I would love to spend some time hunting whitetail the way that you do, but like you kind of have to live in that country to really get after it, you know?
Yeah. I've also spent like a majority of my life doing that, right? Like trying to, like, there was a point in time in my life when I was just obsessed with, like I wouldn't hunt anything else. Like I just hunt whitetails. Like, like I would spend hours like watching videos and reading books on what grunts mean and everything, right? So nowadays I'm kind of whatever.
I was talking to Jeff last night about the blacktails I'm trying to kill, and you know he always teases me, you know, you're a baby deer, right? Because their blacktails are small, but it's like a lot of I think for a lot of guys, like you kind of get interested in whatever is the most accessible to you and the whatever you can do on the least amount of notice, right? Like I can hunt blacktails in 10 minutes. You can hunt whitetails in 10 minutes, right? Like it's just.
I got a guy, like I get a lot of questions this time of year. Like I'm not kidding. I get a couple, 3, 4, sometimes more a day of guys. You can tell who's struggling. Because they're looking for answers. Yeah. And there's a young guy in Southern Alberta who started messaging me a couple of years ago, 2 seasons ago. And he was at his wit's ends with whitetails. He couldn't kill a mature whitetail. He couldn't kill a whitetail with a bow. So I spent like this. I did this all over the phone. I spent like last year and this year with him, and he arrowed a mature deer this year. And like I got him kind of on my program of how to hunt these things.
Nice.
And so it can work. Like what I'm doing isn't like, it's not new to to anybody. It's just everything. It's like, so I had another guy message me this year too, and he's just struggling, right? Like he couldn't kill anything. And I'm like, I could put you on the same program, but I'm like, it's like a commitment of what I'm doing. Like it's a whole thing. Like everything I do, from running cameras to finding deer to setting up on them, and you know how I do everything. So I don't know, it works, but it's not reinventing the wheel by any means. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, it's like anything. It's like I talk about it on here a lot, like how every year I try to help somebody, right? Like just one dude, and I don't try to help them do a monumental task. I just try to help somebody kill their first deer, right? And oftentimes all I'm doing is keeping a guy focused on the task at hand, right? Like pick an area that you want to kill a deer in that actually holds deer, and then let's work it out. Let's work through it. Let's stay on it. It's, different than hunting whitetail because you have all of your scent management and all that kind of stuff that you're doing, right? But with guys trying to kill their first mule deer, often it's just staying motivated and kind of not getting beat down. And I think a lot of guys think that they'll put it together, relatively effortlessly, and it won't be without some trials and tribulations, right? Like, I think people don't realize how often guys are getting skunked. Like, even the best guys, like guys way better than me, and like guys like you still get skunked, right?
All the time.
Right.
There's always that degree of luck you need, I guess, with anything, right? Like this, my moose hunt this year, we had bulls grunting at us, but they just wouldn't show themselves in freaking daylight. Yeah. So what do you do? You know what I mean? You can only try so much.
Yeah, I was talking about this with Barklow the other day. I can't remember if it was online or on the podcast. We were just talking about, like, how social media has really pounded this thing about hunting into guys' heads where everybody's like the ultimate killer, yada, 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 right? And it's like, man, I struggle all the time. I struggle to find freaking any deer sometimes. I struggle to find all kinds of animals, like
if people could come along with me over the past 20 years of sitting in tree stands for whitetails and see how many hours I sat in a tree stand and just fucking rotted. Like, I just sat up there and fucking rotted to death and never even seen a fucking doe. But I was just persistent, man. I would just keep going for whatever reason. I would just keep fucking going. And if that stand wasn't working, I would get down and I would move or whatever.
I should have kept track of how many hours I have in the elk woods. Like, I should have kept track. Like people would just be like, "Oh, okay, that's why you can kind of get on elk quickly, right?" Like, it's like all I did. It's like the only thing I did from September 1 to October, whatever it was, 20th, for 3 or 4 years there. That's it. Like, I didn't hunt anything else. I didn't hunt mule deer or anything.
But all they see is a gripping grin, which drives me insane. I fucking hate it. I just
not for me.
No, I don't hate my gripping grins, but I just hate when people see gripping grins and they're like, "Oh fuck yeah, this guy's getting after it." They I worked.
Yeah.
I worked fucking all of hunting season pretty much. I didn't have a whole bunch of time.
Yeah. I don't know. I say it on here all the time too. And I think guys forget, I don't have the body count that guys like you and a lot of the guys that we have on do, right? But it's all just hours in the field. That's how you are able to get on animals, right?
It's all just time, man. Everything. Time in the field. There's no secret to it. There's no secret. You can do right. There's right things you can do for this and that and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's just time in the fucking field. Spend the time and you'll learn. You're going to learn eventually because you're going to get tired of fucking sucking.
Well, that's just it. And I mean, the other thing too is the time in the field helps you hold your mud in situations that are high pressure too. Southern Alberta last year, I had a hard time keeping my shit together after I missed that first deer. Or was it the first deer? Anyways, the deer after that deer did the Matrix on me. I should have just packed my shit and gone home. Mentally, I was just I was shook. That was the biggest deer I've ever had a chance at. And he just went full Keanu Reeves on my ass. And that was it. Mentally, I was out, and you can mitigate that by having more of those opportunities, right?
Yeah, it's time in the field. I think that's what, and I'd like to get into a bunch of hog shooting because that's good for guys that shoot a lot of pigs and shit, in Texas and stuff. They get a lot of string time or trigger time. Yeah, that's the best way to fix any of that shit. Just time getting it done.
Absolutely. For sure. I mean, I shouldn't say like I have issue shooting stuff, because I don't. I don't really get too worked up, but I think after the shot I get more worked up than before. I seem to get like typewriter leg and stuff after, you know.
I'm like always like, God, fuck, it's past my bedtime and I gotta cut this damn thing up now. That's what I think. Honest to God, that's what I think about now. I'm like, I'm fucking tired. Ready for bed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fucking old man.
Okay, so we got some questions on here. Let me dig them up. We have one that's somebody asked me actually a few days ago. He said, "Oh, hey, podcast request. You and Wacey in-depth wolf hunting tactics, tips, all that I want to murk this winter, some wolves." And I
wolf
said,
hunting, hey?
Yeah, I said to him, that's entirely Wacey. The only wolves I've ever gotten into was on our goat hunt.
So the thing about it is, with wolves, is they're always moving. Even if they kill something, they're always fucking moving. Like, I always chuckle and laugh to myself when I seen Corey Jacobson and them guys in Idaho, and they were trying to figure out how to hunt wolves. You're fucking behind them. You're always fucking behind them. A wolf is always moving. You're like a wolf. Usually, as a rule of thumb, a wolf has a 2-week loop. I've seen it like 3-week or higher, but as a rule of thumb, 15 to 18 days, they're coming back through that same area again, unless they get held up on a kill for a day or so. But they're always fucking moving. So like, if you're trying to kill a wolf and you find tracks and they're moving, like they're moving, like you're not going to catch up to them. You got to like, first off, you got to figure out, okay, I seen tracks here. You're going to follow them tracks and figure out, like, you have to, this is where it comes down to spending time and scouting these wolves. Like, okay, they're moving here. They're running this road, this ridge. They're coming back around, get on the maps. Look, okay, this pack looks like they're going to run this ridge down to here. Maybe burn over to another logging road. See if you can cut tracks there. Find out their loop, like where they're coming through, because you kind of want to be where they're going to be. You can't be behind them, right? Unless you're really good, unless you want to walk for fucking days at a time. Because a pack of wolves just walking, like just trotting, they'll travel some serious ground. So like when you're trying to call wolves, like howling wolves in, you kind of, so a thing that I know guys do too, I don't really like, I've howled in wolves quite a bit and shot them. And I learned that from my cousin. He kind of taught me all that shit. But what him and his buddies do is they'll usually go out at night. So they'll go out at night and they have wolf sounds loaded on their Fox Pros. And all they'll do is just locate. They'll park on a road and they'll just rip that thing. And they usually get a pack to fire up. If they get that pack to fire up, they'll come back in the morning to general area. And first light, they'll rip it again. And then if that pack fires again, it's just like elk hunting, and they'll move right in on them and try and kill them. But they'll spend days driving around looking for packs, just locating. And then, just freaking move in and kill them. It's the same. Like, it's just it's similar to elk hunting, man, when you're calling wolves. But the biggest thing with them too is you got to kind of know where they're going to be. No point wasting your time if they're not there,
Yeah. There you go. Little wolf action with Wacedog.
I know guys will pull their hair out trying to kill wolves. They're very hard.
Just go to where we were goat hunting.
They're very hard to kill. Yeah. Oh yeah. But there's two different things, right? So you have where the wolves will raise their pups for the summer, their denning areas, and then they have their hunting grounds. As a rule, they'll move out of there and they'll go to where they hunt for the winter, right? So, where we were, that's just where their home base was. Like, they weren't going to leave there, right? Because it was that time. It was that time of year. It was freaking August. But I guarantee the wolves are probably out of there now. They're probably down cruising around somewhere else, but doing their hunting.
Yeah, I wonder if they're in the timber or what. I hope they push those goats down.
But now if you're going to trap wolves, there's different ways guys do that. Like when you're snaring them. So some guys, what they'll do, it's all like the terrain and the brush that you're going to hang your snares in. Right. Yeah. So you'll want to have, so a lot of guys will hang their snares and then they'll leave their snares there for whatever, 10 days. And then they'll go back and then they'll put the bait, because then their footprints are covered. The scent is gone. They put their bait and then the wolves come in, and because the guys that are really good at it doing that style, they can look at that bush and they'll be like, okay, wolf's going to come here. This wolf's going to come here and do this. And boom, they'll catch the whole pack just like that. And then they'll freaking pull their snares. Because if you try to bait wolves, then this is how I do it. So if you put a bait out, like put some roadkill out or whatever for wolves, and then you want to go and tromp around and hang snares, you can easily wreck a bait real quick, because the wolves will just up and leave, right? So you want to the best way is like how them guys do it, if you can just hang first, but it's the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
Like
that's
scent
wild.
Control. Yeah.
Man, it's one of those things in BC where, I mean, we have wolves, you hear wolves all the time, but you rarely see them. In my elk hunting spot, I've said this before, I've never had a wolf on camera, but I've heard wolves tons, and I've cut wolf tracks lots in there. Never had one on camera, never seen one.
Yeah. Yeah, they're elusive, man. They're hard. They're smart. But if you were just to howl back to them, you'd be surprised. Sometimes they'll come in and you can get a shot, right? Yeah. Like them ones we seen goat hunting. If we'd have howled to them suckers, they'd have run us over. Oh,
they were coming anyways, dude. That you're like, you got your bear spray handy? I'm like, well, I got my bear spray handy. Shoot this thing.
Well, I didn't want to scare the goats.
Well, I was just saying, well, Tyler was scared. I don't know. It's like 16 wolves staring at you. It's kind of eerie.
Yeah. But yeah, if you'd held to them, man, them fuckers would run you right over.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had a gun up there.
Yeah. A gun and tags.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't shoot them in BC anyway.
No, you can't with tags.
Yeah, but I think I only get one wolf tag, don't you?
I think you can get 3. You just have to buy them is the only thing.
Oh, really?
Yep. Next year.
But as far as calling wolves, if you just do the legwork, find out where they're going, because you could say to most any guys, hey, do you know where we can hunt wolves? And guys will be like, yeah, I seen some here, or I seen some here. Good place to start. Go out, see if you can cut tracks in some snow, do some howling at night, see if they'll fire up, and then just try and hike in on them and howl to them. And I've had it, dude, where I howled in a pack. What was it, last 2 years ago? Them fucking things surrounded me, dude. Even I was shooting, I shot one, and they didn't leave. I shot the second one. Like they were coming to kill me. They don't like intruder wolves, right? So when I did like a strange howl, I just howl with my voice. They were coming to fucking kill me. So I shot one, shot the second one, jacked the third round in, and they'd started to just like check up. They're like holding up, and then they started to circle for wind. And there was a big male, and I shot, and I hit him back in the fucking guts a little bit, but he turned and wheeled. When I shot the third time, then they kind of clued in like, okay, we're all starting to die here. But there was only 6 in that pack, right? And I think I got 3. Well, I know I got 2 for sure, because they fell right there. And another thing with wolves too, I've killed wolves with a 204, like a 35 grain burger, just a coyote gun. And I've killed wolves with a 270. And I like a good bullet for wolves. Like guys, a lot of like a preferred wolf gun. A lot of guys like is a 243. Like a 90 or 100 grain pill. Yeah, looks good. But
I can't believe how tough wolves are.
They're tough.
Me out.
You'll think you smoke them, and them bastards will freaking go. Like if you ever skinned a wolf, you look at the size of their heart, it's the size of an elk heart. Like there's a reason like they can run an elk down. It's because they got their fucking hearts are like huge, man.
Yeah.
So if you want to, if you like marginally hit a wolf, or like you're not using the right round, you can lose a wolf easy.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, for sure. They're definitely tough. We experienced that for sure together, right? And you said you've experienced it on your own too, right? So
lots, man. I seen my dad shoot one time, and I thought he hammered this thing. And so my dad's pretty old, so I took it, and the snow was deep that year. It was like freaking up to my nuts. So I took on the trail of that thing. I bet you I hiked 3.5 or 4 miles with a 22 because I thought I was just going to be able to walk up to it and finish it.
Yeah.
And that thing went 4 miles before I backed out on it because I started to get too gassed, and I was starting to get too deep, right? And it was getting dark. I didn't have a flashlight or nothing, so I had to turn and start coming back. But they'll go, man. They will. They will go. They're as tough as an elk.
No kidding. That's wild. Yeah, that was the first real experience I had with wolves up in the Goat Mountains, and yeah, it was cool. It's cool to see him.
Yeah, but I don't know like what sounds. I just do like just one long lone howl. It works good. They want to kill you generally.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I'm not interested in being killed, so stay strapped or get clapped.
They won't. I don't think wolves would. Actually, I don't know. So I've seen like that pack I was talking about that I shot 3 out of there.
Yeah.
They had murder on their mind.
Man, those wolves that were up in the mountains with us there, I don't think they cared. I think they were ready to play. They were like,
what I say. So like my dad's like the original in my mind. Maybe there was guys doing it. I'm sure there was guys doing it before him, but my dad was the original guy that kind of figured out, how to bait and shoot wolves correctly. And like there's a lot of guys doing it now, but my dad's been doing it fucking 40 years. And when I asked my dad that one time, I said, do you think a wolf would ever fucking eat you? And he said, at night. That's all he said to me. So, well,
I'm glad I didn't hear that story before our trip and while they were outside of our tent.
Because they're awful brave at night. I think that's the problem with it, because I've had like my dad one time, I was sleeping and my dad's dog was at the front door of our house and like he was like just going absolutely nuts. And there was 2 wolves right at they were coming to kill my dad's dog, right? Like they come right in the yard at night. And so they're awful brave at night. Like they'll come. I don't know if they'd ever eat a person, but this one time we were elk hunting, me and my cousin, and he blew his knee out. We were on our way out.
Yeah.
And when we were hiking out, because we had been bugling for elk and whatever, there was a pack of wolves, and we were hiking out in the dark, real thick timber stuff. We were hiking out in the dark. There was a pack of wolves, man. They followed us. They were close, like 12, 15 yards. And they would just howl and howl. They were downwind of us, and they would just howl. Like I was hollering at them. I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And we just had bows, right? And and so I was in the back of my mind. I was like, "Jesus, this might go south real quick because they're not leaving. Like they followed us all the way out." So I think there's a possibility, man. It's the same thing too.
I
thing
think
with lions too, right?
Yeah.
Awful. I had a lion eat my dog on my front step one time at my house. So
you live in a wild ass place, man.
Yeah, man. So me and my wife we got home from a Christmas party. This is like, I think it was a fucking Christmas Eve, maybe. I can't remember now. It's a long time ago. But she went to bed and I was watching TV. I think it was, 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. And I heard my 2 dogs, and my one dog was just going absolutely ape shit on the front deck. So I go out, open the door, flick the light on, and this big lion, he has my fucking dog. He has my dog by the throat. He ripped his throat out. And he's standing there and he's looking at me. So I open the door and I kick him. I kick this fucking lion. I'm in my boxers.
Yeah. And
he turns and he just walks off the deck. He didn't even jump. He just walks down the stairs, turns, walks down the driveway. Mm-hmm. And
you have to put the dog down?
Oh, the dog was down. He had my dog in his mouth walking away.
Oh, bummer.
But I went in the morning and got my dog back and found it. It's a whole story, but that lion, he was old. He'd been killing
pets.
He'd been killing all the neighbors' dogs and shit for quite a while.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting a crack at some cats here. It's high on my list of things to do.
Really?
Yeah,
I've been in on some lion hunts and stuff. It's fun, right? I don't know. I'd like to. It's just not like something I want to do all the time.
No, it's not something I want to do all the time, but I definitely want to do some cat killing down here. I get quite a few cats on camera, and I remember last year I was saying to you, like, man, I keep cutting cat tracks on the road on fresh snow. You're like, just walk after them. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, man, I treated a lion with a stick one time. There was one dog there, mm-hmm. But I basically fucking ran at that cat with a stick and put it up a little tree. It's a pretty sick video. But yeah, so, and then we phoned my buddy and he came and he arrowed it. But he was nice. But that was a nice fucking lion too. I don't know, man, like they'll tree up.
Yeah,
I think
I'd love to catch one on the ground at some point and just put a bullet through it. Be cool. Mm-hmm. I jumped a bobcat. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. I was like, I don't know how this cat didn't hear me coming down the mountain. I had packed into an elk spot early in the morning in the dark, got up there, and I was right on top of these cows. And I fucked it up anyways, and they blew out, and really nice bull went with them, and I was pretty irritated. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna back right out of this spot and go down the road an hour and try another spot that I like, and just kind of give myself a little bit of time to reset. Right. It was a long hike in the dark for a 5-minute exchange, and to have the wind swirl and screw it up. Right. And I was coming down the mountain and I was like, when you're mad and you take the most direct route back to your truck, but it's also the worst. It's like you end up in waist deep deadfall and steep and cliffs and crap like that. Mm-hmm. But you're just mad and you're just smashing down the mountain the most obnoxious way possible. And I was just like ripping down the mountain. And I like hop this one downed alder, and it's like, I mean, I'm 5'9", and I was like, I literally had to like jump up onto it, put my knees on it, and then jump off the other side. And like at my feet was a sleeping bobcat that woke up as I hit the ground and took off like a freaking rocket. And I had enough time to shoulder my rifle and get the crosshairs on it. And then I realized, I was like, oh, they're not in season for like 5 days. Watched them run off.
Yeah. You could,
that's my bobcat story.
BC has a freaking predator problem, man. Like we have predators here, but seems like a lot of people in Alberta are more apt to like, so back in the day, nobody wanted to kill wolves, right? Like it wasn't if you weren't a trapper, and they weren't worth anything, you probably weren't going to kill them. They probably weren't going to get killed. But now it's became very, they have value to them. Like people from the state, people from the lower 48 want to come kill wolves. So outfitters in Alberta are offering wolf hunts and yada, yada, whatever. So, which kind of scares me to put value to wolves. I like to just like fucking eliminate them off the landscape. But when you put value, I'm worried that guys are going to, start passing and leaving wolves and stuff. But I feel like Alberta, like it's kind of we have a wolf problem, but I feel like there's a lot of guys after them nowadays. Whereas BC, Jesus, I think the terrain it's so difficult to get after them. Hey. And so I don't know how many guys are actually hunting the fucking things.
Like, man, that experience that we had, I think that was the exception, not the rule. Everybody that I've talked to about it, like all of the hardcore mountain hunting guys that I know that are in that terrain all the time, like we never had that happen. Like, I think Ronnie told me he's had 2 chances to kill wolves his entire hunting career. I mean, he's been hunting his entire life, and he hunts that country too. Yeah. So I gotta run some kids to school here pretty quick, but I have 2 questions that I think there's actually 3 questions that I wanted to answer, and I answered one offline already for this guy. He said, you mentioned the business you sold a bunch of times on the podcast. What was the business and why'd you sell it? It was a manufacturing business, and I can't really talk about it on the podcast. I sold it because it had outgrown my ability to run it, and it needed a bunch of employees, and I'm a shitty boss because I want to be everybody's friend. So I sold it, and now I hang out with my kids, and I do some consulting and programming work, and that's kind of it. So that's that. One of these questions is going to deserve an entire podcast, I think. So we'll do that one last, and then maybe we'll think about it as a topic for a complete podcast. But a good one for you, AC, is if you can't have an iron will, what's your second choice?
Whatever you can afford. like if you can learn to sharpen a broadhead, put a fucking Zwicky on and go hunt. Like, if you can, like, I love these iron wills. They work amazing.
Yep.
But if you're on a budget and what you can afford is a, what the hell, who makes them? Wasp? Is that fucking?
Yeah. Wasp.
Just a 2-blade or 3-blade VA, a VAP or not VAP. VPAs, 3-blade VPA, whatever the fuck you can afford. Buy it, learn to sharpen that thing. Dude, I still am. But as time goes on, I've upgraded my gear over the years, but as time goes on, you get better and better gear, but just use what you got. If you only have money for a new set of fucking boots that year, and or you want to buy like a couple packs of iron wills, buy the fucking boots and find some fucking message me or whatever. I have 200 broadheads sitting in my fucking storage room, like just old ones that just need to be sharpened. Yeah. So there's always ways around it.
I mean, who was it that I was talking to the other day? Was it me talking or was I listening to something? I can't remember, but they were just saying like a muzzy trocar kills fine. Like get it to spin. Outside of that, let it rip. Make sure it's sharp. My
first trad kill was a G5 Montec, 100 grains.
Great head.
So
I actually just lost one of those heads the other day on a grouse.
Yeah, I use them for chickens now too.
Yeah, right. They're great. They're not very durable when they hit a rock behind a grouse. Yeah.
So you don't need the shit that everybody's pushing. You don't. Is it nice? Fucking right. It's nice. Like, yeah, it's a difference in between Swaro and fucking Vortex, but yeah. Can you run Vortex binos? Yeah, you fucking can. I did for years.
There you go. Yeah. Somebody was asking me about mechanicals the other day, and I'm not a mechanical guy just because I don't know. I've had one failure and I've let that dictate my decisions from the time forward. But I've been messing around with severs again, and I have a couple severs in the quiver of my compound now. So they seem the best to me for a mechanical, anyways. But
just think about it. Like your ancestors used a rock.
Absolutely.
So.
Okay, so this last question, and then we'll wrap this thing up, is from Hunter, who I think is going to be on Tent Talk here soon. But his question is, the hunting community is super divided. How do you think we all contribute to fixing that? I think that's like, yeah.
I don't think you can. Like, you're never gonna. Like, we're just all over the fucking place. If we're not arguing about one thing, it's another, right?
Mm-hmm. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this to our story. I'm going to say, excellent question came in. Excellent question came in from Hunter. I can't pronounce his last name. But
here's the thing too. Look at like when like that fucking, the dentist shot that fucking lion. Mm-hmm. Like that was a legit hunt. There was no poaching, no nothing. And I didn't back that guy. I'm not fucking standing with that guy.
No.
Over that bullshit. So yeah, we're divided. Like, I don't want to go to Africa and shoot fucking zebras. Do I care if it happens? No, I don't care. Yeah. More power to you. If you want to go shoot that stuff, go shoot that stuff. But there's just different, and what people see, right? Like, if somebody sees somebody with a dead giraffe, they're like, how can you call that hunting? Well, yeah, I have no idea. That's fucking rich people shit, right? Like, I'll never get to go do that ever.
Yeah, I think looking at it a more of a even a local scale, like I think for me, when I look at hunting, I think there's a big issue with the different cliques of hunting. Like, oh, we're First Light guys, we're Sitka guys, we're QU guys. Like, we're hunting for inches, we're hunting for meat. Like, there's all these different camps that people belong to. We're trad, we're not. Like, I
think none of them. I think all that is kind of superficial. I think
it's just bullshit.
I think them are like the what clothing you wear and what weapons you use. I think them are super superficial divisions. I think the biggest divisions are fucking the trophy hunting thing, mm-hmm. and like the guys that say, "Oh, I just shoot whatever for meat," and which I do too. Like, but the only difference is I don't want to shoot a spiker. I'd like to see that spiker mature. So there's always going to be that division, right, with that sort of shit.
Yeah, but I just think what I'm kind of saying is part of how you and I have structured this podcast is to include everyone and kind of build community, right? Excuse me. Try to build community and not drive the wedge in further. You know what I mean?
100%. I don't know if it's working or not.
Yeah, I don't know if it's working either, but that's part of why we're doing this thing, right? I mean, we're definitely not getting rich off of it, and we're trying to build community. So
I think the only way that you could ever stop a hunter division is if, like, say a government went and took all your hunting away. I think then everybody would band together to get it back. Something like that. But other than that, let's not go that route. But I don't think there's ever going to be any time where there's not division.
So what I did is I threw that question into the story on the Wilderness Locals Instagram page. So if you want to go there and answer, it'll be up for the next 24 hours. So you guys check that out, answer, and then me and Wacey will spend another podcast on that topic, because I think we can go down that rabbit hole, and I think we can both put together some points, and maybe we'll have somebody else on with us for that one.
Somebody that can talk nice.
Maybe we'll have Jeff on.
Why don't you and Jeff discuss it? Because, dude, I don't know. I'm kind of like a Neanderthal.
No, your perspective is important because you've been in it longer than Jeff's been alive.
Yeah. How old is Jeff?
I think 16.
No, he's not fucking 16.
He's like 26. I think he's a young guy. He's super, super smart. But so let's not say that on here. It'll go to his fucking head.
What year was he born? If he's 26,
I don't know. I'm 10 years older than him almost.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
All them guys are young too. Hey, like
Cole and all those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that maybe I'm becoming one of the older guys now.
Me too, right? All right,
Yeah.
2 old guys signing out. What do you got to say?
Yeah. Just what do you call them, wolves? Just one lone long howl. That's it.
Like this. Hold on, let me get it. Like that. That's how you call wolves. And there you go.
Yeah, or just go goat hunting. You can get wolves.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe and leave us a review. You can follow us on Instagram at Wilderness Locals. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear, articles, and whatever else we're up to on the website at www.wildernesslocals.net.
I'm a motherfucking star. 10, 10s, 20s on the racks on the 50s, bitch. I'm a motherfucking star. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Cancel. Yo, mic check. This is your homie, Be Real on the mic. Coming in live with that fire beat. Shout out Dr. Dre. Shout out Kid Wiz. We coming in hot here. Brooklyn. Detroit what? That's what we doing. Homeboy. Bricker. 99. Chicky. 19.